Hello everyone and welcome to the review. The US President Donald Trump has weighed into the fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery in the US state of Georgia, calling it a very troubling situation. Mr. Arbery was jogging in February when two white males, a father and a son duo, approached him in a white truck. Video footage shows Mr. Arbery stepping back from the truck. A moment later, shots were fired. Mr. Arbery stumbles and falls face down. The two men have now been identified as former police officer Gregory McMichael and son Travis McMichael. In a statement released to the public, the suspected Mr. Arbery was behind a series of break-ins that had occurred in recent past within the area. Hence the chase which led to the untimely death of Mr. Arbery. Both men have now been charged with murder and assault. Moving on to the UK, British Professor Neil Ferguson, aka Lockdown Professor, whose modeling helped shape his country's coronavirus lockdown strategy, has quit as a government advisor after flouting the rules by receiving visits from his lover at his home. His action has angered several British people and have been described as being extremely hypocritical. It is believed he met his married partner on a number of occasions while he advised the rest of Britain to remain in lockdown and self-isolate. The visit clearly contravened the government's stay-at-home, save-life message, which urged people to remain within their family groups and not mix with members of other households. In a statement on Tuesday, he said he was resigning from the post on the government advisory group over an error of judgment. 80-year-old Lesotho Prime Minister Mr. Thomas Tabene has agreed to step down due to his old age. Mr. Thomas has been under enormous pressure to step down since 2017 after he was accused of having a hand in the murder of his former wife, Lipolelo, a case that shook the tiny South African kingdom. Lipolelo Tabene, aged 58, was traveling home with a friend sometime in June of 2017 when both women were shot by unknown gunmen. A series of evidence emerged months later that indicted the PM and his current wife. Mr. Thomas and Lipolelo were at the time going through a prolonged and bitter divorce. Mr. Thomas Tabene insists his decision to resign was voluntary as he is no longer as energetic as he used to be due to his old age. There are now over 42,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus across Africa, with several countries imposing a range of containment measures against the spread of the pandemic. According to the latest data by the Africa Center for Disease Control on COVID-19, the breakdown remains fluid largely due to poor and inadequate testing. It seems South Africans are no longer allowed to legally buy alcohol while in lockdown. This has resulted in the dumping of over 25,000 liters of beer by the country's largest brewer, South African Brewers. The company plans to further dispose of 130 million liters of beer in all because it has run out of space to legally store alcohol at its facilities. South Africa's strict lockdown rules to curb the spread of coronavirus prohibit the sale and transportation of alcohol, which has prevented the company from moving its stock to warehouses for storage. The prohibition of alcohol and cigarettes is a contentious issue in South Africa, which has divided cabinet ministers and members of the public. SAB warned that alcohol ban does not remove the demand for the product but hands the market to criminals. If the ban continues, the brewer says up to 2,000 jobs could be lost and a further 75,000 jobs in its supply chain could also be affected. Uganda has lifted a ban on the importation of used clothing into the country. Recall that a decision was made last month to ban the importation of second-hand garments and footwear amid fears that they could spread coronavirus. The ban was welcomed by the textile and clothing manufacturers as a boost to the Ugandan industry, but traders of used clothing and footwear insist there was no evidence COVID-19 could survive the long time it takes to transport goods from China, Europe, or the US. In 2018, the East African country was warned that implementing a ban on imports of second-hand clothes and footwear might provoke economic retaliation from the United States. A court in northern Ethiopia has sentenced the country's former communications minister and close ally of late PM to 6 years in prison for corruption. Bereket Simon was arrested in January 2019 at his residence in Addis Ababa and was taken to Ahmaud region where he was kept in detention. He was a powerful figure in Prime Minister Mele's administration and was often described as chief ideologue of the ruling coalition, the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, which came to power in early 1990s. The court convicted him and a co-defendant early last week. Their sentence starts from January 23, 2019, when they were arrested. And now to the big question, can you be immune to COVID-19? There is an assumption that those who have had the disease could develop antibodies, hence immunity towards the virus, allowing them to return to normal life. This idea has been suggested in the UK and Germany, but the question still remains, can you actually be immune towards the virus? An infectious disease professor and expert, David Heyman, have weighed in on this, warning against the idea that people can be immune to the disease. He also said it is too early to know if people can develop immunity. The World Health Organization has also stated clearly that there is currently no evidence that people who have recovered from COVID-19 and have antibodies are protected from a second infection, meaning they are not immune and can come down with the virus again. And that's it for this week. Please leave your comments, like and share this post. And to all the mothers out there, I'd like to say a happy Mother's Day to you all. Stay safe out there. Until next time.